Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and we're starting now Siman Pei, which is the 80th chapter. We're in the laws of Shabbos, and we are embarking right now on a major chapter which encapsulates enormous amount of halachas in the laws of Shabbos. And this is Ktsas Mimelachas Ha'asuras B'Shabbos. The way that the Kitzur explains it is some of the malacha activities, the prohibited activities that we are not allowed to do on Shabbos. And there's a beautiful introduction over here. I am reading loosely from the Art Scrolls translation of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, how he gives a beautiful, in-depth introduction to this chapter that we should understand what we are about to get ourselves into over here. And he quotes famous words from the Mishnah Berurah, actually, who explains that there are so many details to the laws of Shabbos, so many nuances, that if a person is not holding well, which means not learning and constantly reviewing Hilchos Shabbos, the laws of Shabbos, it is impossible that they will be able to keep Shabbos in the right way. And therefore, it behooves a person, and that's what we're doing over here when we learn the Kitzur, it behooves a person to spend the appropriate and the adequate amount of time every day, every week, every month, every year, reviewing the laws of Shabbos. Now, that being said, Kitzur means itself a concise digest, which means that this work which we are studying certainly cannot go into all of the details and cannot flesh out the depth of all the halachas that we are studying. Nevertheless, he does do, Baruch Hashem, a wonderful job of giving us the basics and the information that is necessary. But keep in mind that as the world progresses in technology and so many things that have changed in society and culture, you have to know that the halachas that existed of 1800 years ago or 2000 years ago or 3,500 years ago when the Torah was given, we have to know how to apply them to our modern day world that we are living in. And therefore, the Kitzur, which was written maybe 100, 150 years ago already, obviously doesn't address much of our technology. However, we will see, I think, in some of the notes that we have in our version, and perhaps bring down some of the more modern day shailas, halachic questions that we have, to understand how halacha is going to apply to every single generation. Not that it's going to change, but we're going to learn how to put the challenges of today's halachic world into the Shulchan Aruch, into the code of laws, and be able to understand how the halacha is going to apply. Now, furthermore, he writes the following. How do we know what kind of activities we're not allowed to do on Shabbos? Whenever you hear somebody, no, you can't do that. That's muksa. That's this. That's this. No, you can't plow. You can't. How do we know all of these things that you're not allowed to do? You can't cook. You can't make challah. How do we know all of these things? So there's a verse in the Torah, and the verse says, "V'yom hashi Shabbos laHashem Elokecha." It says, on the seventh day is Shabbos to Hashem. Lo yisasecha malacha. You cannot do any malacha. Cannot do any work. Now, the verse itself doesn't specify which activities are considered malacha, which are considered these creative works, and that's how we're going to define malacha. Malacha is that anytime you have creative work, which means when you take objects that already exist in the world and you're able to put them together to create something new, that's the kind of malacha that you're not allowed to do. Where do we know this list of the 39 laws of malacha, of activities that you're not allowed to do? So the Gemara notes that if you look in the verses over there, juxtaposed to this verse about Shabbos are verses that are speaking about the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the wilderness. And it took 39 different malachas, 39 different types of creative activity to build the Mishkan. And therefore our sages teach us whatever malacha, whatever work they did in the Mishkan to create and to build and to shape and to form the tabernacle, those are the 39 malachas, 39 prohibited activities that we are not allowed to do on Shabbos itself. Okay, and therefore that's how it works. There are what's called the avos malacha, which is the av malacha, which means the main category, and there's a tolda, which means the offspring of that malacha, of that work, and the av is what is the main malacha that is described in the building of the Mishkan, and a tolda, an offspring, is an offshoot, so to speak, of that malacha. All of those malachas, all of those works, those activities, creative work activities that we're discussing, those are all what's called Isser Deraisa. The Torah prohibits us from doing any of them on Shabbos. There are laws that are midrabanan, that is a prohibition that the rabbis instituted when there are activities that appear to be similar in nature to the Av Malacha, to the main type of Malacha, the same type of work, creative work, that the Torah and Chazal say that we are not allowed to do. Now, just going forward from here, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch is going to assume that everybody is well aware of what the 39 malachas, the 39 prohibited activities are that we're not allowed to do on Shabbos, and therefore he just introduces every chapter or every paragraph with a assumption that you know exactly what he's talking about. So tomorrow, Be'ezus Hashem, we're going to go through the list of the 39 malachas, the 39 different types of activities that were used in the building and the creating of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and which we ourselves are not allowed to do on Shabbos. Looking forward to continuing in this great chapter, which will give us a much clearer picture of how exactly we are to guard ourselves on the holy day of Shabbos. All the best.